One sec, guys. One sec. Yo. Yes, you don't know. How you doing, bro? Gotta get my Voop. Oh, there it is. Oh, how are we all doing today? How are we all doing? I'm good. I'm good. How is everyone doing? Right. Let's get into the weird but true facts of nature. So welcome to the live stream. I am going to be dropping a few, weird but true facts about animals. If you love anything, good brother. The wife says hello, Henry. Tell your wife I said hi. How we doing? Hope your wife is good though, bro. I really do. So let's get into the weird but true facts about animals. I hope you all enjoy. This is gonna be, a few animal, weird but true facts. If you like, then do subscribe because I've lost a subscriber from yesterday. A bit weird, but it is what it is. So yeah. Weird but true is that pandas' droppings can be turned into paper. But not only that, civets poo can also be turned into coffee, which is bizarre, but posh people like drinking civet poo because it's made out of coffee. Exactly. Not only that, weird but true that bats do have thumbs. Weird but true that cows do have best friends. So if you were to separate cows from their best friends, that would automatically make them depressed because they are, a type of animal that do actually form bonds. Weird but true that octopuses do have 3 hearts. Weird but true that flamingos are the only birds that eat upside down. Weird but true that bats have thumbs. Crazy, ain't it? Weird but true. No, it's a cheetah, my guy, because you can see the tear lines on them. And cheetahs do have tear lines, which helps protect them from the harsh sun, which is interesting because meerkats also have, dark rings around the eyes that help them from the harsh sun. So cheetahs and, meerkats have something a little bit in common when it comes to how to protect their eyes from the harsh sun. Weird but true that elephants can't jump. Weird but true, a pet goldfish in England actually lived to be 43 years old, which is absolutely bonkers when you think about age of goldfish. But yeah, there was actually a legit goldfish in England that lived up to be 43 years old, which is insane. A weird but true fact that kangaroos cannot go backwards. They can't jump backwards. It's not in their DNA. A weird but true fact that a nickname Old Man is a nickname for a kangaroo, which is insane. So when you think about kangaroos, if you're gonna call somebody an old name, like an old person, you're technically calling them an old kangaroo. A weird but true fact that some fish can walk on water. I want to eat kangaroo. I wouldn't eat a kangaroo. I can tell you that for nothing. A weird but true fact that, as I say about fish, that some fish can walk on water. Did you know that some fish can actually change from females to males? And another weird but true fact about fish is that seahorses, are quite interesting. As did you know, or should I say weird but true, that male seahorses are the only ones that give birth. Which, if you think about men, if men were able to give birth, it would be absolutely, the agony, you know? Hello, what's good, bro? Like and subscribe if you are enjoying the animal facts. Now, for all the Americans that love this, I don't know what, and I would love to know why you guys love this so much. But believe it or not, weird but true that there are more plastic flamingos in America than there are real ones. So all you Americans that love the idea of having more plastic flamingos than real ones, I would love to know why that is, because it seems you guys love the idea of having plastic flamingos. So anybody that wants to try and find the real flamingo in America, in a zoo or in general, it's going to be very hard for you guys. And did you know that hummingbirds are the only species that can fly laughing emoji. Oh, what, are you from America before I continue my fact? Because if you are, I would love to know that theory. I'm sorry I've not been keeping up with my daily series. I've been in hospital. This is day 15 on your stream. Hey, no worries, lad. I do know you do keep popping in and out, so I feel you. Where was I? Oh yeah, some let's get into it. So weird but true that some hummingbirds weigh less than a penny. But did you know that some hummingbirds actually do know how to fly? That keeps going out of my head. I'll go back to that one. That keeps going in and out of my head for some reason. A weird but true fact that some having a spasm today, that's not like me. Hang on. So, I'm sorry, I've only just woken up. That's why I'm a little bit delaying on my stuff. Because it is 9:45. Oh, that's it. Did you know that sea otters... No, not yet. No, fuck. Wait. Weird but true that sea otters are the only otters that hold their hands together so they don't drift away. So they'll all hold their hands together so they don't drift too far apart when they're asleep. I'm good, Rainbow. How you doing, bro? We're doing weird but true facts about nature before, anything else. So you guys get a good dose of weird but true facts. But I welcome all 22 people in here. I hope you're all doing really well. I've had a bit of brain rot a few minutes ago, but we're back in business. So yeah, guys, we hope all of you are doing good. Oh. How is everyone doing so far? Before I get back into the animal facts, I hope all is good with you guys, and I hope that everyone is enjoying themselves so far, because we want to make sure that everybody feels good and that everyone's learning and everyone's having a good time. I am from the United Kingdom, and this is weird but true facts about nature. So if you love nature and you want to be a part of nature and everything else in between, you guys will get the best out of it. So do make sure that you stick around for weird but true facts. As I say about pandas, being being a species that use their droppings to be turned into paper. Mate, my leg is doing phenomenally better. Thank you so much. Weird but true that the world's smallest monkey is the size of a toothbrush, which is absolutely bonkers. So next time you think about brushing your teeth, you will end up probably seeing the world's smallest monkey lingering on your own toothbrush. A weird but true fact that a golden poison dart frog has enough toxins to basically kill 100 people, which is absolutely insane. Where's your bong? I know, bro. In it, they can fit in your pocket as well because of how small they are. A weird but true fact that a Chihuahua is actually the world's smallest dog. So people think about small dogs, but Chihuahuas are actually the world's smallest dogs. So is why you have to be very extra careful with them, because they are genuinely very, 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 very tiny. I'm not a fan of Chihuahuas. I'm not sure if you guys are a fan of Chihuahuas, but I ain't that much of a fan of Chihuahuas. And did you know that an alligator can live up to 80 years old? Yeah, rats can be bigger than them. By far. Because rats are just disgusting little things. I don't know why anybody would love to see, you know, these guys. I'm not a fan of, I am not actually a fan of Chihuahuas. I'm more like the idea of having a Rottweiler or anything better than a Rottweiler. A weird but true fact that wild turkeys run up to 25 kilometers an hour, which is insane for wild turkeys. Owls can't move their eyes, which is weird but true. So owls cannot actually move their eyes, which is insanely weird, because you would like to think that they can, but they really can't. It is very weird that they look, but they can't actually move their eyes. Bizarre, isn't it? But what is weird but true? Hang on. It's good, because I like to see the chat as well while we are talking. There we go. I love rats, so cute. Well, did you know? Oh, here we go. It is a weird fact for all of you guys then. So if you love rats, a weird but true fact that ironically will freak you out is that rats have the ability now to reverse their aging, as scientists have been able to reverse aging, and they did it on a test on a rat, and the rat actually performed well with the reversal, as they now have the ability to rotate their aging to be a more younger and more fitter rat. And also what is interesting is, weird but true, flamingos' ankles look like knees. They really do. So the ankles on a flamingo genuinely do look like ankles. What do you mean by reversing? So scientists have already been able, so you know how aging is such a big thing for humans and animals alike. So when you think about dogs in age, or you think about anything that can age, especially big cats, anything, right? Well, scientists have done experimenting in terms of how can they reverse the aging process to make them more young instead of old. And they did this with rats. So they did a lot of experiments with rats to see how they can make a rat more younger instead of older. And one they had an old rat, and they injected this thing with age reversal type product that they injected themselves after doing so many research in how to genetically make the rat more younger. And when they did this, they found that the rat's response to this research ended up being very positive, as the rat eventually turned its age reverse. So it was a very old rat. So as this rat was already old, and it ended up being more younger and more fitter as a younger rat. So the age reversal for aging actually turned out to be more positive, because the rat was more appearing younger, was more energetic, more fitter, and could think more like a young rat, not like an old rat, which is actually really impressive that scientists were able to do that. Yo, no worries, bro. So it really shows that humans have the ability to now make animals go into age reversal. So age reversal is like, say for example, if someone was 80 years old, and then they had that that factor of being having wrinkles, grey hairs, etc. And then somebody gave them age reversal as an injection, so then they could end up being young again. And that age reversal was to itchy nose. And they were to reverse, and then that human was to be able to then go back to their younger selves. It would be insane. How they would be able to do it for humans or any other animal except for rats would be a very interesting fact. It would be very interesting in that age reversal side. I would love to see how they will now be able to do it for humans, let alone dogs and everything in between. It would be absolutely fascinating to see that. In it, you don't know. Subscribe. I mean, we did lose, ironically enough. I don't know why, but somebody wanted to make me lose subscribers yesterday. Well, that's that's a really funny thing, is when you think about how people have anti-aging cream, it doesn't actually increase jack shit. It only gets rid of wrinkles. So you're still gonna get wrinkles if you're having anti-aging cream. Oh, and believe it or not, just to give you guys a nice little heads up, I am going to be doing a video on this sort of thing. Exactly. Now, you're probably wondering what the hell is this background all about, and all this sort of thing, and why this man is touching this rhino, and what the story is behind this. So and this is what you guys are going to hear first off, right? So there has been a lot of, stories that are made up about the northern white rhino, saying that these guys are now completely extinct. They are critically endangered, and there is only 2 left in a reserve somewhere in Africa. So when you see the story about how, these rhinos are extinct, they're critically endangered. It's not an albino rhino, but a northern white rhino is genuinely critically endangered. And it's just funny how these people, how social media have twisted this narrative of them being extinct. Well, no, I know what you mean, but it's just so annoying to see this story be told as end of the species. No, these guys are still around, but they're just critically endangered. So critically endangered just basically means that they are going to be extinct if you know if they keep going the way they're going with humans, poaching them and stuff like that. So if you see a story like this where you see, oh, let me show you. So this is what's being put around social media saying an era of extinction. It's not actually true. It's not actually true. And you can actually understand why I say it's not so true, because you aren't gonna be able to get extinct, rhinos just yet. They are on the blink of it. Yes, they are. They are heading that way because of poaching, habitat loss, all that sort of stuff, right? But when it comes to critically endangered animals, they would typically be put on breeding programs. But because there's two females left, they now have to find a male that is willing and willing enough to actually go and produce babies. But there was only one sighting of these guys in 2006, but no other recordings has been confirmed recently. But there is two left, in a reserve, from what I believe. Exactly, and that's the thing that is so messed up, is that people, when you think about how people perceive or view things, people believe pretty much anything you tell them or anything that they see, and it's not okay. It is not okay to then lie to the public and say, oh, this species is in danger, is now extinct, when actually in reality, if you did your homework, they're not actually extinct, they're just critically endangered. So anyone that believes that these guys are are swept out, there's none left, not true. Do your homework and you will see that these guys are not actually, swept out of existence yet. They are critically endangered. That is where they are on the IUCN list. And the IUCN list is basically tells you where animals are in terms of vulnerability or, critically endangered. When you see the word least concern, it genuinely means that the numbers are healthy. If they're vulnerable, it means that it's going to a bit of a bad situation. Critically endangered means that they are pretty much on the edge of extinction. And extinct means that they would either be extinct in the wild, but not so much in zoos. But it doesn't mean that, we all have to play silly beggars. What is their lifespan? That's a good question. That is a very good question. So, they would live a lot longer in captivity. Well, I'll get into the age in a minute, but I just want to give a very good. So what is the typical age for rhinos? Well, in captivity would be a lot. It would be generally a lot more longer because of the fact of healthcare. If they're ill, they can genuinely, typically be more healthier. But in the wild, you're looking between 30 years old, but in captivity, you're looking about 55 years old. So 55 years old is what would be in captivity. But in the wild, it is a lot lot lesser. So you're looking about 30 in the wild, but 55 in captivity. Chris, what's good? So yeah, that is what you're generally looking for in rhinos. Yes, because rhinos, you know, yeah. What's good, Chris? But yes, in general, that is what you'd be looking for. It's like how when you look at let me get my baby girl up quick. Where is she? Just let me get her up real quick. There she is. So when you look at lions, they would typically live 15 in the wild and 25 in captivity. So you're looking at a very different margin. You know, so when you look at every animal species, some can, I mean, we had bears in my zoo once upon a time that lived to be 40 plus, you know, which is quite impressive. And we were the only zoo that had bears in captivity that lived a lot longer than most bears, you know. But it's impressive when you think about age range in animals in terms of, you know, wild versus captivity. And why they live so much more in captivity is more due to the fact of health. There's better healthcare, and there's less chance of them dying. You know, for lions, you're looking about fifth in it. Let me get my. There we go. So in the wild for lions, you're looking about 15 in the wild versus 25 in captivity. So captivity is a lot longer than what it would be in the wild. So most animals can vary in ages in terms of wild slash captivity. So it's why it's so important to understand what the difference is between wild versus captivity, and why captivity is so much more longer than it is in the wild, and what does shorten lifespans in the wild is either illnesses, habitat loss, poaching, injuries to when they're hunting, or anything like that. And lions get the blunt end of it, so do grizzly bears. But grizzly bears are phenomenal creatures. I love them. They are absolutely mentally beautiful. I know, you were saying, bro. You were saying. So, yeah. Exactly. Smash the like button in the face. And as I say about the stories about lions, and I'll give you this weird but true story about lions. Some of you have heard it, some of you haven't, but I will tell you this for nothing. So once upon a time, there was a little girl that got kidnapped by a group of men, and she was forced to marry one of them. What's good, Grey Wolf, and what was really sad is that this girl was made, unfortunately made by this group of men. But luckily, there were a group of lions that heard the little girl cry. And genuinely, these guys went to go and investigate, you know, where this little girl was crying from. They saw the little girl, and they generally saw the group of men that were trying to force her to marry them in Africa. And what was interesting is the group of male lions basically traced the men away, as the female stayed back to protect the young girl until the police arrived. And the police saw the group of lions around this little girl with no injuries, no nothing. By the time the police came, they all left. They all completely just walked away. And it shows the power of nature in terms of nature can save us in the most unique and most stunning way. So even though the story is quite vile and quite disgusting, but it is a weird but very much true story, which shows the passion that lions do have sometimes for protecting humans. Not always, but yeah. And I do have to say, I will be posting, as Rainbow was here yesterday listening, that I will be posting about a guy that got attacked by a tiger in Finland, and it will be a true statement. So you guys will hear a story about, Finland, grizzly bears just eat people. You're actually technically wrong, Chris. You're very, very wrong there, lad. Bears' diets consist of fish, fruit, and berries. So, they would only attack a human is if a human was to run away from a bear that is on trace. So if you see a bear running, it is better to stay still than it is to try and run. If you run and then you typically keep running, well, a grizzly bear can run faster than a racing horse. So put that into perceptrum, and then that's it. You're screwed. If you generally run away from a bear while a bear is on trace, you are going to be its target regardless. And not only that, exactly. I've seen some absolute phenomenal, things about bears, especially bears that come up to give humans good interactions. Like I seen some people. Oh, there are genuinely most people in this world that have some phenomenal experiences with bears. Well, animals do sense energy, and they can genuinely understand what you're feeling. And most people show animals fear or anger or whatever. This is why most people get attacked by animals. This is why people mistaken grey wolves as bloodthirsty creatures. Like, no, they're not. And that is due to the fact of, you know, films. When you think about films like Grey Wolf, they portray grey wolves as bloodthirsty creatures when they're not. Then when you look at films like Jaws that actually inhabited stupid, films about sharks. Sharks are not going to attack you. They're very curious creatures, and if you want to avoid a shark attack, just touch their gills. Put a bit of pressure on their gills, not too much that they can't breathe, but just enough pressure on the gills, and then they'll go away. But in general, though, films and Hollywood is what destroyed the idea of what sharks and grey wolves and other species of animals are genuinely like. So what people see on TV or in films is vastly fucking different from what you would see naturally in the wild. And then the funny thing is, what I find funny is when people go and watch cute videos on animals like wolves, bears, sharks, whatever, people end up going, oh, that's so cute. But yet they're still scared. Who's Craig? Who's Craig? I don't know who Craig is. No, not Craig. Craig. Chris, who you talking about, bro? Oh, because I didn't see them in the... Mate, it shows how much I was interested in what I was doing. Chris, it's not about you, mate. I think you're getting the wrong... I think Chris is getting the wrong end of the stick there, lad. I think he's getting the wrong perception of what I'm getting across. Okay. As I was saying, looks like we're having a little bit of beef in the comment section. But as I say, people genuinely have this weird phobia of nature and how they have this bizarre views on nature, but I don't know. But yeah, people need to stop having fear. Have this fear of animals. They need to kind of not have this fear and this phobia of animals. So, you know, it's something that I think people need to stop fearing and actually go out and have beautiful interactions with nature, because people are also just viewing animals in a bad light, and I find it kind of sad, because I've had many beautiful experiences with animals. I mean, it's like how people view, you know, staffies and Rottweilers in a bad light. Same principle. You know, yeah, you'll get a few bad apples, but not all animals are gonna treat you awful. It's just how people view nature and have a bad opinion on animals, and they really shouldn't, because there's a lot of good things that animals do. I mean, for example, there was a deer that actually helped a female that got robbed, and this deer headbutted the guy that stole the woman's handbag and stayed with the woman until she got home safe, which is quite cute. And you would not think of a deer helping a young woman, you know, that left the nightclub, got a handbag stolen, and still managed to protect her. Even though deers are genuinely very shy creatures, this deer still went out of its way to protect the female. So yeah. But for people that are in this live stream, do go and subscribe to my channel. It does help massively, because we talk about nature. I am going to try and be more live, more actively and more frequently, so then that way it gets more out there. Andrew, how you doing? Oh, a weird but true fact. Polar bears aren't actually white. They're actually black, because their fur is transparent, which means that it will turn straight to black, because that's what they are. They're genuinely black bears. Exactly, Rainbow. Black skin, but they are so cute nonetheless. How you doing, Andrew? How you doing, lad? And interestingly enough, bears are very adorable. So if you love bears and you want to know about bears, then go and subscribe to my channel, because I am going to be dropping a bear fact after I dropped the recent bullshit about rhinos, because I think rhinos deserve a bit of respect and a bit of everything else. They are. I mean, my favorite bear is the sun bear. I love sun bears, even though they're about 4 foot tall, which is cute, but they are just honestly the most adorable little bears you'll ever see. They're just so freaking cute. I love them. They have, the reason why they're called sun bears is because the on their chest is called sunrise or sunset. I mean, how fucking cute do you have to be to have a sun bear? And I've been waiting for my zoo to get sun bears. And I've been always talking about wanting sun bears at my zoo because I just love the idea of having a sun bear. So you can't judge me for having a sun bear love. How are you, brother? I'm good. I'm doing really, really well. How are you doing? Oh. Chris, you're looking at a guy that's had more times face to face with bears than you could imagine, lad. I've had 6 interactions with bears, and all 6 times I've had good experiences. You know what I mean? All 6 times. So I can safely say I'm actually quite content with bears. That's a good question. Not 100% sure. I know I'll have to have a little look at that because I don't actually generally know. I know in terms of rhino knowledge, I know enough, but I never actually studied how many babies they would generally have. I will actually have a little look at that later on today and get back to you on that because I don't actually know. I know enough about them. I know like the conservation. I know about the status. I know what they like to eat and so on and so forth. But I don't know about the baby side of it. But I'll definitely get back to that. I know. Back image. Yeah, well, it's a lion, you sausage. Exactly. I mean, I know quite a fair bit, but there are some that I genuinely iffy with. You know what I mean? Like for example, there is a species of fish that I cannot for the life of me say the name. And it really, really pisses me off how I can't say the name of this particular fish. I know what species it is, but to pronounce the name of it really bugs me off. I had ironically enough, I had a dream about cuddling a tiger, but then when I woke up, I was like, oh. It didn't happen, but in my dream it happened, but I never cuddled a tiger or a lion, but in my dreams I've cuddled a tiger, so I can tell you it's very soft in my dreams, but in reality I don't know. So if that counts, then yeah. Well, a lion's roar can travel up to 5 miles away, which is impressive. So, it doesn't matter where you stand. A lion's roar is so beautiful, man. And my dream is to swim with sharks. I would love to get close with sharks. Honest to God. I want to show, and I would happily video me swimming with sharks because I got no fear of sharks. I think sharks are just the most. It'd be unreal just to be in the presence of sharks and to, feel to feel them swim around you, underneath you, everything else. It is insane. Oh yeah, it has always been a wild ass dream for me to swim with sharks. I think if I could actually go and do that, which I'm saving money to go and do, but when I have enough money to go and swim with sharks, I'm gonna go and do it, and I'm gonna enjoy every fucking second of it. And I'm never going to be, you know, frightened, because I know how they operate, I know how they work, I know all of the ins and outs of them. But again, just to feel the presence of a shark, unreal. Unreal. Oh yeah, it's like with dogs. Dogs can sense who's good, who's not, you know? Yo, what's good? They really can, and it's just something special. It is just something special. Sharks, there's something special about them. I can't lie. I love my sharks as well as anything else. Energy never lies and behavior never lies. So you can't fake energy. Energy cannot be faked. Oh. So yeah, that is where I stand with nature. You can't lie. We all do. We can all smell when somebody is basically, you know, a dick. We all can. But yeah, right, I'm gonna go and have my breakfast because I'm actually fairly hungry and I got jobs to do. So I will see you all guys later on. I hope you all have an amazing day and stay blessed, stay humble. I hope you enjoyed my live stream today. I'll be back on later, hopefully. If I'm not back on later, then it'll be tomorrow. But I'm hoping that I will be back later.